Welcome to Vibration Architect, where today we ask, is your subconscious mind secretly undermining your greatest efforts? The truth is, most people live their entire lives never accessing even a fraction of their true mental power, trapped by invisible subconscious programming they don't even know exists. In today's exploration of Mind over Matrix, harnessing your conscious and subconscious power, we'll dive deep into forgotten wisdom that reveals how to finally unite these two powerful aspects of your mind. The masters of mental science knew that this synchronization is the hidden key to manifesting whatever you truly desire. If you're ready to stop being sabotaged by your own mind and start wielding its full potential, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss these essential teachings. Introduction: the sovereign domain of mind. Within the quiet chambers of your consciousness resides a power so profound, so transformative, that those who truly master it appear to bend reality itself to their will. This is not mysticism or fantasy. It is the practical science of mind that the greatest thinkers and achievers throughout history have understood and applied. You possess this same extraordinary capability, waiting to be fully awakened. What separates those who merely exist from those who truly command their destiny? The answer lies not in external circumstances, but in the mastery of the dual nature of mind, the conscious and subconscious realms that together form the complete architecture of your mental power. Most individuals live their entire lives allowing these two forces to work against each other, creating internal conflict, limitation, and unfulfilled potential. The conscious mind sets goals while the subconscious harbors contradictory beliefs. The conscious mind desires change while the subconscious clings to familiar patterns. In Mind over Matrix, we will dismantle this self-defeating arrangement and establish a new order, one where your conscious and subconscious minds work in perfect harmony, amplifying rather than negating each other's power. You will discover how beliefs form the foundation of your reality, how thoughts generate energy that manifests in physical form, and how to recognize and transform the hidden programs that have limited your achievement. Through practical techniques of mental reprogramming, concentration, and the application of willpower, you will learn to direct your mental energy with precision and purpose. This is not merely a book of theory, but a practical guide to mastery. The principles contained within these pages have transformed countless lives throughout the centuries, though they are often hidden from common knowledge. Now, they are yours to apply. As you progress through each chapter, you will develop an increasingly sophisticated understanding of your mental faculties and how to harness them for extraordinary achievement. The journey ahead requires courage. The courage to examine your own mind, to challenge limiting beliefs, and to assume full responsibility for your mental domain. But with this courage comes the greatest reward possible: true sovereignty over the one realm that determines everything else in your life, your mind. Are you ready to claim this power that has always been rightfully yours? Chapter 1: the conscious captain and the subconscious crew. Understanding their roles and interaction. Have you ever wondered why you can set the most determined resolution one day, only to find yourself breaking it the next, almost as if some hidden part of you has its own agenda? Or why certain thoughts seem to materialize into reality, while others remain unfulfilled wishes? The answer lies in understanding the magnificent duality of your mind, a powerful partnership that, when properly aligned, can reshape your entire existence. Your mind is not a singular entity, but rather two distinct yet interconnected forces: the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Picture, if you will, a magnificent ship sailing across the vast ocean of life. The conscious mind is the captain standing at the helm, alert, analytical, discriminating, and in command of directing the vessel. The subconscious mind constitutes the immense crew below deck, powerful, tireless, unquestioning, and responsible for the actual operation of the ship. The success of your journey depends entirely on how well these two elements work together. The conscious captain, your directing intelligence, your conscious mind, though it occupies only a small fraction of your total mental capacity, serves as the gatekeeper and director of your experience. It possesses several vital powers that, when properly employed, set the course for your entire life. First, it is the realm of active awareness, the part of you that observes, analyzes, and makes deliberate choices. When you read these words, contemplate their meaning, or decide to continue reading, you are exercising your conscious faculties. Second, it holds the power of discrimination, the ability to accept or reject ideas presented to it. Unlike your subconscious, which accepts all impressions without question, your conscious mind can say no to limiting suggestions and yes to empowering ones. This critical faculty is your first line of defense against mental programming that does not serve your highest good. Third, and perhaps most importantly, your conscious mind directs attention, that invisible beam of mental energy that, when focused, becomes the most transformative power you possess. Where you place your attention, energy flows. Where energy flows, reality manifests. The mastery of attention is the beginning of all mental mastery. As William Walker Atkinson so powerfully stated, the man who can direct his mental powers and forces is the man who will win in the end, no matter what the odds against him. This direction begins with the conscious captain taking firm command of the vessel. The subconscious crew, your manifesting power. Beneath the surface of your awareness operates the truly magnificent engine of your mind, your subconscious. This silent partner never rests, never questions, and constitutes approximately 95% of your mental capacity. It is the storehouse of all your memories, habits, beliefs, and automatic functions. While your conscious mind may set intentions, it is your subconscious that actually brings them to fruition. Your subconscious possesses several extraordinary characteristics that make it indispensable to your achievement. First, it is the seat of your habits and automatic behaviors. Every skill you've ever mastered, from walking to driving to professional expertise, began as a conscious effort and was eventually delegated to your subconscious, freeing your conscious mind for new challenges. This is the very process of learning and mastery. Second, your subconscious maintains all your beliefs about yourself and the world. These beliefs, whether empowering or limiting, act as invisible commands that your subconscious mind faithfully executes without question. When your conscious desires conflict with your subconscious programming, the subconscious will win every time through sheer force of habit and conviction. Third, your subconscious connects you to what Charles Harnell called the universal mind, that infinite intelligence that coordinates all life and existence. Through this connection, you can access wisdom, intuition, and creative solutions that transcend your conscious reasoning. This is the source of inspiration, creativity, and what many call genius. The dynamic interaction, master or servant. The relationship between your conscious and subconscious mind determines whether you will be master of your destiny or servant to circumstances. In most individuals, this relationship is chaotic and unintentional. The conscious mind issues contradictory commands, focuses on limitations rather than possibilities, and surrenders its authority to external influences. The subconscious, receiving these mixed signals, produces similarly mixed results. The individual who fails to understand this interaction lives at the mercy of past programming. Have you noticed how people who consistently expect the worst often find precisely that? Their conscious expectations, charged with emotion and repetition, become subconscious beliefs that faithfully create corresponding circumstances. Conversely, those who grasp the proper relationship between these mental aspects become architects of their experience. They understand that the conscious mind must maintain unwavering focus on desired outcomes while communicating these objectives to the subconscious through clear visualization, affirmation, and emotional intensity. As Joseph Murphy taught, the subconscious mind is subject to the conscious mind. When this principle is properly applied, transformation becomes inevitable. Practical application. Beginning the partnership. You can begin establishing proper command of your mental faculties today with this simple yet powerful practice. For the next 7 days, set aside 10 minutes each morning to sit in silence. Close your eyes and consciously observe the thoughts that arise without judgment. Notice how many of these thoughts are not deliberate creations, but automatic patterns, the subconscious at work. This simple act of observation begins to establish your conscious mind as the watchful captain, rather than a passenger carried by subconscious currents. Next, select one area where you wish to redirect your mental energy, perhaps confidence, focus, or serenity. Create a simple, present tense statement that embodies this quality. I am becoming increasingly confident in all situations, or my ability to focus intensifies daily. Repeat this statement with feeling and conviction during your 10-minute practice, visualizing yourself already embodying this quality. The key is consistency and emotional intensity. Your subconscious responds not to casual wishes, but to commands delivered with conviction and repetition. As Atkinson noted, thoughts are things, and powerful things at that. By consciously selecting the thoughts you emphasize and infuse with feeling, you begin to communicate effectively with your subconscious crew. Remember this fundamental truth. Your conscious and subconscious minds were designed to work in perfect harmony, with the conscious mind directing and the subconscious executing. This natural order, when restored, creates an unstoppable force for achievement and fulfillment. You possess this capacity right now, requiring only your commitment to develop it. As we conclude this chapter, begin to observe your own mental patterns with new awareness. Notice when your conscious intentions are being undermined by subconscious programming. This recognition is the first step toward establishing your rightful authority as the captain of your mental ship. In our next chapter, we will explore how beliefs, the fundamental programming of your subconscious, are formed and how they can be transformed to support rather than sabotage your highest aspirations. Chapter 2. The Architecture of Belief. How beliefs are formed and stored subconsciously. The power that shapes your destiny is not found in the circumstances of your life, but in the beliefs you hold about yourself and the world around you. These beliefs, residing in the depths of your subconscious mind, form the invisible architecture upon which your entire life is built. As James Allen so profoundly stated, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." This heart that Allen refers to is nothing less than your subconscious belief system, the foundation that determines not only what you achieve, but what you even attempt. Have you ever noticed how two people facing identical circumstances can experience entirely different outcomes? One sees opportunity where another sees only obstacles. One perseveres while another surrenders. One succeeds while another fails. The external situations may be identical, but the internal belief structures could not be more different. This is the hidden influence that shapes every aspect of your life, and it is entirely within your power to transform. The nature of belief, the mind's foundation. What exactly is a belief? At its core, a belief is simply a thought that you have accepted as truth. It is a conclusion about reality that your mind has embraced and filed away as fact. Some beliefs are conscious and easily identified. I believe in working hard, or I believe education is important. Far more powerful, however, are the subconscious beliefs that operate beneath your awareness. The deep convictions about your capabilities, worthiness, and what is possible for you. These subconscious beliefs act as filters through which you perceive all experience. Rather than seeing reality as it truly is, boundless in potential, you see only what your beliefs allow you to see. As William Walker Atkinson observed, we not only create our own world, but we actually create the kind of world we create. This profound truth places enormous responsibility in your hands, for it means that your beliefs are not merely reflecting your reality, they are creating it. How beliefs are formed, the programming process. Your belief system did not appear fully formed. It was built gradually through multiple channels of influence, most of which operated without your conscious awareness or consent. Understanding these channels is the first step toward reclaiming your mental sovereignty. First, early childhood experiences formed your initial belief framework. Before your analytical faculties developed, Your young mind absorbed impressions directly into the subconscious. The casual remarks of parents, teachers, and authority figures, both positive and negative, were accepted without question. "You're so smart," or "you'll never amount to anything," were not merely words, but programming commands delivered directly to your subconscious mind. Consider for a moment, what messages did you receive in your formative years about your abilities, your worthiness, or what was possible for someone like you? These early impressions formed the bedrock of your belief system, and they continue to influence your decisions and perceptions today unless consciously examined and revised. Second, repetition embedded beliefs deeply into your mental framework. Thoughts repeated with consistency become beliefs through sheer force of familiarity. This process occurs regardless of whether the repeated thoughts are true or beneficial. As Murphy noted, the subconscious mind makes no distinction between constructive and destructive thought impulses. It simply accepts what is offered with frequency and emotional intensity. Consider the individual who repeatedly thinks, "I'm terrible with money." Each repetition of this thought deepens the neural pathway until managing finances poorly becomes an automatic response rather than a conscious choice. The belief creates the very reality it describes, reinforcing itself in a continuous cycle. Third, emotional experiences created beliefs with extraordinary speed and durability. When a thought or experience is accompanied by strong emotion, whether positive or negative, it bypasses the conscious filtering process and embeds directly into the subconscious. This is why traumatic experiences can create limiting beliefs that persist for decades, while moments of triumph can similarly establish empowering convictions that fuel achievement. Think of the child who performs poorly in a mathematics test and experiences humiliation. In that emotionally charged moment, a belief may form instantly, "I am not good at math." This single experience, encoded with emotion, can direct educational choices and career opportunities for an entire lifetime, unless consciously addressed and transformed. Fourth, authority figures planted beliefs through the power of suggestion. From an evolutionary perspective, humans are wired to accept the guidance of authorities as a survival mechanism. When information comes from someone you perceive as an expert, parent, teacher, or leader, your critical faculty often relaxes, allowing ideas direct access to your subconscious mind without the usual scrutiny. This explains why advertising relies so heavily on testimonials from authority figures, and why limiting beliefs can be transmitted through generations within families. The statement, "No one in our family has ever gone to college," from a parent carries the weight of perceived authority, potentially establishing a limiting belief that shapes a child's academic aspirations. The self-reinforcing nature of beliefs. Once established, beliefs become self-fulfilling prophecies through a fascinating psychological mechanism. Your mind continuously seeks evidence to confirm what you already believe, while disregarding contradictory information. This confirmation bias ensures that your beliefs appear increasingly valid over time, regardless of their actual truth or benefit. If you hold the belief, "people cannot be trusted," your reticular activating system, the part of your brain that filters incoming information, will highlight every instance of betrayal or dishonesty you encounter while minimizing or disregarding acts of trustworthiness. Over time, your collection of evidence makes your belief seem irrefutable, though it represents only a selective perception of reality. Similarly, if you believe, "I am capable of extraordinary achievement," your mind will notice opportunities, resources, and capabilities that support this conviction. The identical landscape of possibilities exists for everyone, but your beliefs determine which aspects of that landscape become visible and accessible to you. The transformative power of belief. The true magnitude of belief's power cannot be overstated. As Charles Haanel wrote in The Master Key System, "The power to think consecutively and deeply and clearly is an avowed and deadly enemy to mistakes and blunders, superstitions, unscientific theories, irrational beliefs, unbridled enthusiasm, fanaticism." Consider these manifestations of belief's influence in daily life. The placebo effect demonstrates that patients often experience real physiological improvements simply because they believe they have received effective treatment. Their belief literally changes their bodily response, even when they have received only a sugar pill. This is not imagination, but measurable biochemical change initiated by belief. Athletic performance consistently shows that belief in one's capabilities, what psychologists call self-efficacy, directly correlates with achievement. The athlete who believes they can break a record is far more likely to do so than one with identical physical capabilities, but limiting beliefs about their potential. Financial prosperity follows belief patterns with remarkable consistency. Those who believe deeply in abundance tend to notice opportunities invisible to those fixated on scarcity. Two individuals with identical skills and circumstances often achieve vastly different financial outcomes based solely on their beliefs about money, wealth, and their relationship to it. Relationships flourish or fail largely based on the beliefs partners hold about themselves, each other, and the nature of love itself. The person who believes I am unworthy of love will unconsciously sabotage caring relationships that contradict this belief, while the person who believes healthy love is natural for me will attract and nurture fulfilling connections. Identifying your blueprint. Uncovering subconscious beliefs. Your current life circumstances provide a precise reflection of your dominant beliefs. As Atkinson stated, your thoughts are the causes and conditions are the effects. To transform your conditions, you must first identify the beliefs that created them. Begin this exploration with these reflection questions. What areas of your life flow with ease and abundance? These reveal empowering beliefs operating in your subconscious. If your relationships consistently thrive, you likely hold positive beliefs about your worthiness of connection and the goodness of others. Where do you experience persistent struggle despite your best efforts? These areas point to limiting beliefs working against your conscious intentions. If financial security eludes you regardless of income level, examine your subconscious beliefs about money, wealth, and your right to prosperity. What statements did you frequently hear about yourself as a child? Phrases like, "You're a natural leader," or "You need to try harder than others," often translate directly into core beliefs that guide your adult behaviors and choices. What truths about life do you hold as self-evident? Statements that begin with phrases like, "That's just how life works," or "Everyone knows that," often reveal unexamined beliefs accepted without conscious evaluation. Consider the case of Thomas, a talented musician who repeatedly sabotaged opportunities for professional advancement. Through reflective work, he uncovered a childhood memory of his father saying, "Artists always struggle." This single statement, absorbed by his impressionable mind, had formed a belief that success and artistic expression were mutually exclusive. Once identified, this belief could finally be addressed and transformed. Practical exercise. Belief archaeology. To begin uncovering your own belief architecture, practice this simple but powerful exercise. For 1 week, carry a small notebook or use your phone to record thoughts that arise spontaneously throughout your day. Pay particular attention to your internal responses when facing challenges or opportunities. Statements like, "I never get these opportunities," or "This always happens to me," reveal the beliefs operating beneath your conscious awareness. Each evening, review what you've recorded and ask yourself, is this thought a fact, or is it merely a belief I've accepted? Is it serving my highest good? If not, what alternative belief would better support my aspirations? The mere act of bringing subconscious beliefs into conscious awareness begins to diminish their power. As Atkinson taught, you are not bound by any beliefs except those which you have decided are true, and you can change these latter at will. This is the beginning of mental sovereignty, recognizing that beliefs are not immutable facts, but chosen perspectives that you have the power to accept or reject. Liberation through understanding. The realization that your beliefs are not facts about reality, but simply learned thought patterns grants you extraordinary freedom. You are not a helpless product of your programming, but rather its conscious architect. Every limiting belief was installed through specific processes, and every such belief can be uninstalled and replaced through equally specific processes. As we move forward into our next chapter, on the power of thought forms, remember this fundamental truth. Your beliefs may have created your present, but they need not determine your future. The architecture of your mind is not fixed, but fluid, awaiting your conscious direction to reshape it according to your highest vision. The power to examine, challenge, and transform your beliefs is the first great step toward mental mastery. As you develop this capacity, you will increasingly recognize that your mind is not a prison confining you to predetermined outcomes, but a workshop in which you can craft any reality you have the courage to believe in. Chapter 3. Thought Forms, Energy. Made manifest, the power of focused thought. There exists a fundamental truth so profound that its full realization has the power to revolutionize your entire existence. Thoughts are not mere fleeting shadows in your mind. They are living forces of energy with the power to shape the very fabric of your reality. This is not philosophical speculation, but a principle that aligns with both ancient wisdom and modern understanding of energy and vibration. As William Walker Atkinson declared with absolute certainty, thoughts are things, tangible forces that radiate from your mind to influence your body, your circumstances, and the world around you. Have you ever considered that each thought you entertain is not contained within your skull, but extends outward as a vibration affecting everything it touches? Have you recognized that the persistent conditions of your life, your health, relationships, material circumstances, all bear the unmistakable imprint of your habitual thought patterns? The masters of mental science have always known what quantum physics now suggests. The observer affects the observed, and consciousness interacts with physical reality in ways our conventional understanding is only beginning to grasp. The vibrational nature of thought. Every thought you generate creates a specific vibration or frequency. Just as a musical note causes air molecules to vibrate at particular frequencies, your thoughts generate energetic patterns that extend beyond the confines of your physical body. Thoughts of similar nature resonate with each other, attracting complementary energies and circumstances while repelling those of opposing vibrations. This is the scientific basis behind the common observation that like attracts like. The person who predominantly thinks thoughts of lack and limitation naturally attracts experiences that match those vibrations. Conversely, the individual whose mind dwells on abundance, possibility, and gratitude magnetizes corresponding circumstances through this same law of vibrational resonance. As Atkinson explained, we are sending out thoughts of greater or lesser intensity all the time, and these thought waves have the effect of awakening similar vibrations in the minds of others, resulting in the creation of physical conditions in our life in accordance with the nature of thoughts we have been thinking. This is the hidden mechanism behind what many call coincidence or luck. In reality, it is the law of mental causation operating with precise fidelity. The anatomy of a thought form. When you generate a thought, particularly one charged with emotion and repeated with consistency, you are creating what esoteric tradition calls a thought form, a distinct energetic pattern that persists even after the initial thought moment has passed. These thought forms vary in strength and durability according to three primary factors. First, the clarity and definition of the original thought. Vague, amorphous thinking produces weak thought forms that quickly dissipate, while clearly defined, specific thoughts create robust energy patterns with greater manifestation potential. This explains why precise goals consistently outperform general wishes in their manifestation power. Second, the emotional intensity invested in the thought. Emotion is to thought what heat is to physical matter. It determines the state and potency of the mental energy. A thought infused with strong emotion, whether positive or negative, creates a correspondingly powerful thought form. Fear and love are particularly potent emotional charges that rapidly accelerate manifestation. Consider how often intense fear manifests precisely what is feared, or how deep love seems to magnetize its object despite apparent obstacles. These are not mysterious coincidences, but demonstrations of emotional thought energy operating according to definite laws. Third, the repetition and duration of focus. A single thought, even one of great clarity and emotional intensity, will have limited manifestation power compared to a thought that is consistently reinforced over time. This explains the extraordinary power of habitual thinking. Those thought patterns you entertain day after day, year after year, eventually solidify into what appear to be immutable life conditions. Thought concentration, the master key. While all thoughts generate energy, the power of a thought increases exponentially when focused through the lens of concentration. Scattered, diffuse thinking produces correspondingly scattered results, but concentrated thought harnesses mental energy with laser-like precision. Charles Haanel compared this principle to the difference between diffuse sunlight and the same light focused through a magnifying glass. The former gently warms whatever it touches, while the latter can generate enough heat to ignite fire. Your mind operates according to the same principle. Concentration multiplies effectiveness. Most individuals never develop this power of mental concentration, allowing their thoughts to drift aimlessly like leaves on a stream. They think about a dozen different objectives in a single day, never giving sustained attention to any single purpose. Is it any wonder their manifestation power appears weak or inconsistent? The individual who masters thought concentration, however, directs mental energy with surgical precision. By focusing repeatedly on a single objective, they bring to bear the full power of their mental faculty, accelerating manifestation and seemingly bending circumstances to their will. As Atkinson observed, the man of the future will not be required to be a mental athlete in order to succeed, but he must possess that degree of mental control that will enable him to direct his thought force upon a given subject until he has shaped it to his satisfaction. Creating effective thought forms. Practical application. You can begin harnessing the power of thought forms immediately through these practical techniques. First, practice thought selection with vigilant awareness. Most people allow thoughts to enter their mind without discrimination, as if their mental space were a public thoroughfare rather than a private sanctuary. Begin treating your mind as the sacred temple it is, admitting only those thoughts that serve your highest good and firmly rejecting those that do not. When a limiting thought arises, "I can't afford that. That's impossible for someone like me. I always fail at relationships," immediately recognize it as a creation rather than a reality. Then consciously replace it with its empowering counterpart. "I am attracting the perfect resources. New possibilities are opening to me daily. I am developing the capacity for fulfilling relationships." Second, infuse your chosen thoughts with emotional energy. Merely repeating positive affirmations intellectually produces minimal results. To create powerful thought forms, you must feel the reality of what you affirm. This requires using your imagination to generate authentic emotion, not pretending, but actually experiencing the feeling state of your desired manifestation. If you desire greater prosperity, for example, vividly imagine how financial abundance feels, the security, freedom, and expansion it brings. Allow yourself to experience genuine gratitude, joy, and expectancy. These emotions transform ordinary thoughts into magnetic thought forms that attract corresponding conditions. Third, develop sustained concentration through daily practice. Begin with just 5 minutes of focused attention on a single thought or image. When your mind inevitably wanders, as all untrained minds do, gently but firmly bring it back to your chosen focus. Over time, extend the duration to 10 minutes, then 15, then 20. This practice of mental concentration is to your mind what physical exercise is to your body. It develops the mental muscles necessary for powerful manifestation. The individual who can hold a single thought or image with unwavering focus for even 20 minutes possesses a manifestation power that the scattered thinker cannot comprehend. As Atkinson promised in The Power of Concentration, written under his pseudonym Theron Q. Dumont. Through concentration, you can train the mind to obey your will and thereby become calm. And through calmness, all that is within your consciousness may be accomplished. Thought forms in action, living examples. The power of thought forms becomes undeniable when we observe their effects in everyday life. Consider the entrepreneur who visualizes his business succeeding with such clarity and emotion that he naturally takes actions aligned with that vision, notices opportunities invisible to others, and persists through challenges that defeat less committed individuals. His thought form of success literally shapes his perception and behavior until external reality conforms to his internal vision. Or observe the athlete who mentally rehearses perfect performance with such vivid detail that neural pathways form as if the physical action had actually occurred. When the moment of performance arrives, her body executes with precision the movements that her thought forms have already established in her neural architecture. Even in health, the influence of thought forms manifests with remarkable consistency. The patient who maintains a vivid mental image of complete wellness, feeling the energy and vitality of perfect health regardless of current symptoms, activates healing mechanisms beyond our full scientific understanding. As Murphy noted, the subconscious mind controls all the vital functions of your body and knows the answer to all problems. Collective thought forms. The greater influence. Beyond individual thought forms lies the even more powerful domain of collective thought. Those energetic patterns created and maintained by group consciousness. These collective thought forms can either support or oppose your individual creations, depending on your relationship to them. The person who uncritically accepts prevailing beliefs about economic conditions, aging, health limitations, or what is realistic, places themselves under the influence of these collective thought forms. Their individual creative power becomes subordinated to the greater energy of mass thinking. The master of mental science, however, recognizes collective thought forms as influential but not determinative. They consciously insulate their own mental creativity from contrary influences while selectively harmonizing with collective energies that support their objectives. This explains why true innovators and visionaries often appear to operate according to different rules than the general population. They are not bound by collective limitations because they have consciously withdrawn their mental energy from those thought forms and redirected it toward their unique vision. Responsibility. The shadow side of thought power. With the recognition of thought's creative power comes profound responsibility. If your thoughts truly shape your experience, then blaming external circumstances, other people, or bad luck for undesired conditions becomes impossible to justify. You must instead accept that your habitual thinking has created precisely the conditions you now experience. This realization can initially feel overwhelming. As James Allen wrote, "Man is made or unmade by himself. In the armory of thought, he forges the weapons by which he destroys himself. He also fashions the tools with which he builds for himself heavenly mansions of joy and strength and peace." Yet, within this responsibility lies tremendous liberation. If your thoughts have created current conditions, then changing your thoughts can create new conditions. Nothing is fixed or predetermined. Everything is subject to the creative power of your focused thought. The practice of mental mastery. As we conclude this exploration of thought forms, I invite you to begin a dedicated practice of mental mastery. For the next 21 days, designate one specific area of your life for conscious thought creation. Select an area where you desire positive transformation. Perhaps your health, a relationship, or a professional objective. Each morning and evening, spend 10 minutes in quiet concentration, forming a clear mental image of your desired outcome. See it not as a possibility, but as a present reality. Feel the emotions that this realization generates: gratitude, joy, excitement, peace, allowing these feelings to infuse your thought form with manifestation power. Throughout each day, maintain conscious guardianship of your thoughts regarding this area. When contrary thoughts arise, as they inevitably will, recognize them as old patterns rather than truths, and immediately redirect your mental energy to your chosen thought form. Record your experiences in a journal, noting synchronicities, new insights, shifted perceptions, and physical changes that occur during this practice period. This documentation will provide tangible evidence of thought's creative power and strengthen your commitment to mental mastery. As Atkinson promised, the man who knows how to use his mind has found the secret of the ages. This secret is now yours to apply. Your thoughts are indeed things, living forces with the power to reshape your entire existence. Use this power consciously, consistently, and with clear purpose, and you will progressively transform yourself from a passive victim of circumstances into the active creator of your experience. In our next chapter, we will examine how the undisciplined mind unconsciously sabotages its own desires, and how you can recognize and overcome these self-defeating patterns. Chapter 4. The undisciplined mind. Recognizing. Sabotage. Identifying negative subconscious patterns. You have now explored the extraordinary creative power of your thoughts and the remarkable partnership between your conscious and subconscious mind. With this knowledge, one might expect immediate transformation. Yet for many, despite understanding these principles intellectually, desired changes remain frustratingly elusive. Why? The answer lies in what we might call the undisciplined mind, a mind that works against itself through unconscious patterns of self-sabotage. This mental sabotage is perhaps the greatest obstacle to achieving your desires, operating like an invisible adversary within. As William Walker Atkinson observed, the greatest obstacle to the accomplishment of anything is not the external condition, but the internal opposition. This chapter will illuminate these hidden patterns of opposition so that you may finally recognize and overcome them. The split mind, conscious desires versus subconscious programming. At the heart of mental sabotage lies a fundamental contradiction. Your conscious mind sets goals and intentions that your subconscious mind, due to its established programming, actively undermines. Consider the person who consciously desires financial abundance, yet subconsciously believes money is the root of all evil, or wealthy people are corrupt. Despite their sincere intentions and efforts, their deeper programming will invariably sabotage their conscious objectives. This contradiction creates what psychologists call cognitive dissonance, an uncomfortable mental state resulting from conflicting belief. To resolve this dissonance, your mind will work ingeniously to ensure your experiences align with your deepest beliefs rather than your conscious wishes. This is why many find themselves repeatedly creating the very circumstances they consciously seek to avoid. As Murphy explained, the reason for failure is that people have two conflicting ideas in their minds at the same time. Therefore, the solution they seek is neutralized by the conflict in their own minds. Recognizing this conflict is the first step toward resolving it. Common patterns of mental sabotage. The undisciplined mind reveals itself through distinct patterns that you may recognize in your own experience. First, negative expectation creates a perpetual cycle of anticipated problems that mysteriously materialize. The individual who habitually thinks, "Things never work out for me," maintains a thought vibration that ensures precisely this outcome. Have you noticed how those who expect difficulties seem to attract complications, while those who expect smooth progress often experience precisely that? This is not coincidence, but mental law in operation. Second, contrary mental states disrupt manifestation power. The person who affirms abundance verbally while feeling scarcity emotionally sends contradictory vibrations that cancel each other out. Remember that the subconscious responds primarily to emotion rather than words. A poverty feeling will override prosperity affirmations every time. Third, scattered thinking diffuses mental energy across countless objectives, never concentrating sufficient power to manifest any single goal. As Atkinson noted, the person who tries to do many things at one time generally does none of them well. The undisciplined mind jumps from desire to desire, wondering why nothing fully materializes. Fourth, catastrophic imagination uses the creative power of visualization in reverse. When facing an important situation, does your mind automatically project worst-case scenarios with vivid detail? This negative creative visualization is actually programming your subconscious to manifest precisely what you fear most. Fifth, impulsive thinking reacts rather than creates, constantly responding to external stimuli instead of maintaining sovereign direction. This reactive pattern surrenders your creative authority to circumstances, leaving you feeling perpetually victimized by conditions you unknowingly helped generate. The origins of mental indiscipline. Understanding how these sabotage patterns develop helps dissolve their power. These patterns generally emerge through three primary channels. First, environmental conditioning installed limiting beliefs about what is possible or appropriate for you. If you grew up hearing statements like, "People like us don't get those opportunities," or "don't get your hopes up," your subconscious absorbed these limitations as operating instructions. Second, protective mechanisms developed in response to painful experiences. If past disappointments were particularly acute, your mind may have created sabotage patterns to avoid similar pain. The person repeatedly rejected in relationships may develop patterns that sabotage intimacy, not because they don't desire connection, but because their subconscious is trying to protect them from anticipated hurt. Third, mental laziness allowed habitual thought patterns to establish themselves without conscious selection. Just as an untended garden grows weeds by default, an unguarded mind develops random thought habits that rarely serve your highest good. Recognizing your own sabotage patterns. Self-sabotage operates most effectively when undetected. Bringing these patterns into conscious awareness neutralizes much of their power. Here are key indicators that your undisciplined mind may be working against you. Recurring life patterns that repeat despite your best intentions to change them. Whether in relationships, finances, career advancement, or health, these persistent patterns reveal subconscious programming overriding conscious desire. Mysterious failures at critical moments when success seemed assured. The promotion that inexplicably goes to someone less qualified. The relationship that falls apart just as it deepens. Or the project that collapses on the verge of completion. These often indicate subconscious sabotage, aligned with deeper beliefs about what you truly deserve. Chronic procrastination on goals you claim to value highly. When you continuously delay actions toward your most cherished objectives, your subconscious may be protecting you from what it perceives as dangerous territory, success that contradicts your established self-concept. Emotional resistance to visualizing complete success. If attempting to imagine your desired outcome triggers anxiety, confusion, or discomfort rather than enthusiasm, your subconscious likely holds contrary beliefs that require addressing. Negative self-talk that automatically contradicts positive intentions. The internal voice that immediately responds to your goals with, "That's impossible," or "Who are you to think you could achieve that?" reveals subconscious programming working against your aspirations. Consider Martin, a talented writer who repeatedly abandoned manuscripts just before completion. Despite conscious desires for literary success, he found himself inexplicably distracted whenever a project neared its final stages. Through reflective work, he discovered a childhood belief that standing out leads to rejection, formed when his academic achievements had triggered bullying. His subconscious was faithfully protecting him from the very success he consciously desired. The costs of mental indiscipline. The undisciplined mind exacts tremendous costs across every dimension of life. Physically, mental sabotage patterns generate stress hormones that compromise immunity, digestion, and cellular repair. The body literally bears the burden of contrary mental states through inflammation, tension, and accelerated aging. Emotionally, self-sabotage creates a perpetual state of frustration as conscious efforts repeatedly fail to produce desired results. This chronic disappointment often leads to resignation, bitterness, or a false belief that external forces are conspiring against you. Materially, mental sabotage ensures that your external circumstances remain aligned with your limiting beliefs rather than your expansive desires. Financial struggles, career stagnation, and persistent scarcity directly reflect unconscious beliefs about what is possible for you. Spiritually, the undisciplined mind blocks the natural flow of creative energy that would otherwise express through you. This blockage manifests as a persistent sense of separation from your potential and purpose, what many experience as a vague but persistent feeling that there must be more to life than this. Breaking the cycle. Initial steps. The good news is that mental sabotage patterns, once recognized, can be systematically disbanded. Here are foundational practices to begin this liberation. First, become the observer of your own thoughts without judgment. Most people are so identified with their thinking that they cannot distinguish themselves from it. Begin practicing mental detachment by watching your thoughts as if they belong to someone else. This simple shift from being your thoughts to observing your thoughts creates crucial space for conscious choice. Second, track recurring thought patterns by maintaining a thought journal for at least 1 week. Each time you experience anxiety, limitation, or negative expectation, record the precise thought that triggered this response. Patterns will quickly emerge, revealing the specific mental sabotage mechanisms operating in your consciousness. Third, challenge automatic assumptions by questioning thoughts that arise as obvious truths. When your mind presents a limiting thought as fact, "I could never do that," or "that's just how things work," immediately ask, "Is this actually true? Could the opposite be equally true?" This simple inquiry begins dissolving thought patterns previously accepted without examination. Fourth, interrupt pattern momentum through pattern-breaking behaviors. When you catch yourself in a familiar negative thought spiral, physically change your state. Stand up, move your body differently, change your facial expression, or alter your breathing pattern. This physiological interruption makes it easier to redirect your thinking. As Atkinson taught, you may control your own mind, but the further you get away from your own mind, the less control you have. This profound observation reminds us that mental discipline begins with assuming full responsibility for our own thought processes, rather than focusing on external circumstances. A practical exercise, the mental interrupt. Begin implementing this powerful technique today to counter mental sabotage. Choose one area where you've experienced persistent limitation or frustration. For the next 7 days, commit to catching yourself whenever negative thoughts arise about this topic. The moment you notice such a thought, say internally or aloud, "Cancel, cancel. This thought does not serve me." Then immediately replace it with its positive counterpart. For example, if you catch the thought, "I never have enough money," interrupt it with, "Cancel, cancel. This thought does not serve me," and replace it with, "I am increasingly prosperous, and opportunities for abundance constantly flow to me." The key is consistency. Each interruption weakens the negative pattern, while each replacement strengthens a new, empowering pattern. As Murphy noted, the solution is in the subconscious mind, but you must get it out through repetition of constructive, harmonious thoughts. The promise of mental discipline. As you practice these techniques, you will experience growing alignment between your conscious intentions and subconscious programming. The internal sabotage that once frustrated your efforts will gradually diminish, replaced by a powerful harmony of mental forces working together toward your chosen objectives. Remember that mental discipline is not achieved overnight. It is developed through patient, persistent practice. Each time you recognize and interrupt a sabotage pattern, you strengthen your mental sovereignty. Each time you consciously choose empowering thoughts over limiting ones, you reclaim authority over your creative power. In our next chapter, we will explore specific techniques for reprogramming the subconscious mind, transforming the very beliefs that have previously limited your expression and achievement. Having recognized the patterns of the undisciplined mind, you are now ready to implement the systematic mental reprogramming that will align all aspects of your consciousness with your highest aspirations. Chapter 5. The Art of Reprogramming. Techniques for changing subconscious beliefs. Having recognized the patterns of self-sabotage that have limited your achievement, you now stand at the threshold of extraordinary possibility. The critical question becomes, how does one systematically transform these deeply embedded subconscious beliefs? This chapter reveals the precise mental technologies that allow you to reprogram your mental operating system, techniques that have empowered thousands to transcend their limitations and manifest achievements once thought impossible. Understand this fundamental truth. Your subconscious mind can be reprogrammed. Though its current contents may have been installed without your conscious consent through childhood experiences, cultural conditioning, and emotional imprinting, you possess the inherent authority to overwrite any limiting program with empowering alternatives. As Joseph Murphy declared, the subconscious mind is amenable to suggestion. It accepts the impressions of your conscious mind as true and proceeds to bring them to pass as conditions, experiences, and events. The laws of mental reprogramming. Before exploring specific techniques, grasp the laws that govern all successful subconscious reprogramming. First, the law of concentrated attention dictates that whatever captures your consistent mental focus grows in your experience. Your subconscious mind assumes that whatever you consistently think about must be important, and it mobilizes its resources to create corresponding conditions. This law explains why worry, concentrated attention on unwanted possibilities, often manifests the very outcomes you fear. The same power, directed toward desired outcomes, produces equally predictable positive results. Second, the law of reversed effort reveals that tension and excessive force create resistance in subconscious reprogramming. When you strain to force new beliefs, you inadvertently strengthen the old ones through your implied acknowledgement of their power. Effective reprogramming requires not force, but relaxed confident expectancy, what Atkinson called the confident expectation of a greater good. Third, the law of dominant effect establishes that emotionally charged ideas impress the subconscious more powerfully than intellectually accepted concepts. A single visualization infused with genuine feeling will accomplish more than 100 mechanical repetitions. As Charles Haanel noted, the subconscious can and will carry out plans and ideas which are accompanied by a sufficient amount of desire. Fourth, the law of reverse transformation means that physical actions consistent with your desired belief help establish that belief subconsciously. By acting as if a new belief were already true, walking, speaking, and carrying yourself accordingly, you provide your subconscious with evidence supporting the new programming. This creates a powerful feedback loop that accelerates transformation. With these laws as your foundation, you can now implement specific reprogramming techniques with both understanding and confidence. Affirmations. Language as creative power. Words carry vibrational energy that directly impacts your subconscious mind. Affirmations, clearly stated, positive declarations of desired truth, leverage this power to overwrite limiting beliefs with empowering alternatives. When properly formulated and applied, affirmations literally reconfigure your mental patterns and, consequently, your manifested reality. To create effective affirmations, follow these essential guidelines. First, phrase affirmations in the present tense, as if the desired condition already exists. I am becoming wealthy carries less creative power than I am wealthy now. Your subconscious recognizes only the present moment. Future-oriented phrasing actually affirms the current absence of your desire. Second, eliminate negative words, which the subconscious processes poorly. Rather than, I am not afraid of public speaking, affirm, I am completely confident and articulate when addressing groups. Your subconscious does not register negations like not or don't. It responds to the dominant images, which in negative phrasing are precisely what you wish to avoid. Third, infuse affirmations with feeling and conviction. Mechanical repetition without emotional involvement produces minimal results. Feel the truth of your affirmation as you speak it. As Murphy advised, the feeling of the thing makes the impression on the subconscious mind. Fourth, incorporate sensory details that make your affirmation vivid and specific. Instead of I am successful, try I am thriving in my career, receiving recognition and abundant compensation for work that fulfills me deeply. Specificity creates clearer instructions for your subconscious to execute. Consider Rebecca, who struggled with chronic anxiety about financial security despite a stable income. She created the affirmation, I am now completely financially secure. Money flows to me abundantly through multiple channels. I manage my resources with wisdom and joy, maintaining substantial reserves that grow continuously. Each morning and evening, she repeated this affirmation while genuinely feeling the relief, confidence, and gratitude that financial security would bring. Within 3 months, her relationship with money transformed dramatically. Not only did new income opportunities emerge, but her anxiety dissolved, allowing her to make clearer financial decisions that further enhanced her security. Implementation strategy for affirmations. For maximum effectiveness, establish this systematic practice. Select one primary area for transformation, rather than diluting your mental energy across multiple objectives. Choose affirmations addressing the root belief rather than its symptoms. Practice your affirmations during the border states between waking and sleeping, both as you drift off to sleep and immediately upon awakening. When the subconscious mind is most receptive to new programming, speak affirmations aloud when possible, engaging multiple senses in the process. The physical act of speaking combined with hearing your own voice creates a more powerful impression than silent repetition. Maintain absolute consistency for at least 30 days without interruption. Subconscious reprogramming requires repetition to overcome the momentum of established patterns. As Atkinson observed, the many weak repetitions of a mental picture produce but a weak impression upon the mirror of the subconscious, but a concentrated, earnest, conscious impression produces a deep impression. Visualization. Mental imagery as reality creation. While affirmations harness the power of language, visualization employs the even more primal language of mental imagery. Your subconscious mind processes images as experiences, making visualization one of the most direct methods for reprogramming. Athletes, artists, and high achievers in every field have long used this technique to literally precondition success. Effective visualization adheres to these principles. First, create mental images with photographic clarity and sensory richness. See your desired outcome in vivid detail, incorporating color, sound, physical sensation, even scent and taste when applicable. The more senses you engage, the more powerfully your visualization impresses the subconscious. Second, visualize from both internal and external perspectives. The internal view places you inside the experience, feeling, and perceiving it directly. The external view allows you to see yourself having already achieved your desire, observing the changes in your posture, expression, and environment. Alternating between these perspectives creates a complete impression. Third, incorporate appropriate emotions that would accompany your vision's fulfillment. If visualizing career advancement, feel the pride, satisfaction, and confidence this achievement would generate. These emotions act as electrochemical messengers that encode your visualization into cellular memory. Fourth, conclude each visualization with gratitude and detachment. Gratitude affirms that you have received what you desire, while detachment releases the anxious need that can block manifestation. This combination, grateful certainty without desperate grasping, creates ideal conditions for manifestation. Consider Michael, a talented but struggling artist who visualized his successful gallery exhibition with methodical precision. Each day he mentally walked through the gallery, seeing his work professionally displayed, hearing congratulatory conversations, feeling the satisfaction of collectors purchasing his paintings. He visualized not only the event itself, but the positive reviews in art publications and the subsequent opportunities that emerged. Within 18 months, this exact scenario manifested. A prestigious gallery approached him after seeing his online portfolio, leading to the exhibition he had so precisely visualized. Implementation strategy for visualization. Establish this systematic practice for maximum effectiveness. Create a distraction-free environment for your visualization sessions, eliminating potential interruptions that might dilute your concentration. Begin with physical and mental relaxation to access the alpha brainwave state conducive to subconscious impression. Progressive muscle relaxation, followed by slow, deep breathing, creates ideal conditions. Maintain a regular visualization schedule, ideally morning and evening, with sessions lasting 10 to 15 minutes. Consistency matters more than duration. Daily brief sessions surpass occasional extended ones in effectiveness. Record your visualization content in a dedicated journal, noting specific details, emotions, and any insights that emerge during the process. This documentation creates accountability and allows you to track the progressive manifestation of your vision. Emotional charging. the catalyst for transformation. Both affirmations and visualizations derive their power largely from the emotions they generate. Emotion acts as the catalyst that transforms mental techniques from mere fantasy into manifestation instructions. Understanding how to properly generate and utilize emotion multiplies your reprogramming effectiveness. First, recognize that your subconscious responds to felt emotion, not intellectual concepts. You can mentally affirm prosperity while feeling lack, and your emotional state will determine the result. As Murphy emphasized, it is not what you say, but how you feel that gets results. Second, cultivate the emotional state that would result from your desire's fulfillment, rather than the emotion that comes from wanting fulfillment. There is a crucial difference between feeling the excitement of wanting a new home and feeling the gratitude, security, and joy of already owning it. The latter emotion programs manifestation. The former programs continued wanting. Third, use physical state to generate appropriate emotions when they don't arise naturally. Your physiology directly influences your emotional state. Standing tall with shoulders back, breathing deeply, and maintaining a subtle smile triggers neurochemical changes that generate positive emotional states conducive to effective reprogramming. Fourth, amplify emotional intensity through multisensory memory. When you locate a genuine feeling of confidence, success, or abundance from your past experience, intensify it by enhancing the associated sensory memories, making the colors brighter, sounds clearer, and physical sensations stronger. This amplified emotion can then be linked to your affirmations and visualizations. Implementation strategy for emotional charging. Create an emotional anchoring practice with these steps. Identify a past experience where you genuinely felt the emotion relevant to your desired manifestation. A moment of true confidence, abundance, recognition, or whatever quality you seek to expand. Mentally revisit this experience in vivid multisensory detail, progressively intensifying the associated emotion until you feel it physically in your body. At the peak of this emotional state, touch your thumb and middle finger together, or another discrete physical gesture, thereby anchoring this state to the physical trigger. During affirmations or visualizations, activate this anchor by reproducing the same physical gesture, instantly accessing the associated emotional state that powers effective reprogramming. The sleep programming method, accessing deeper consciousness. The border state between wakefulness and sleep provides unique access to your subconscious mind. During this transition, the critical faculty that normally filters input is temporarily suspended, allowing direct reprogramming. This method, championed by many mental science practitioners, offers exceptional effectiveness. The technique involves these simple steps. As you lie in bed preparing for sleep, consciously relax your body completely, beginning with your feet and moving progressively upward to your head. This physical relaxation facilitates mental receptivity. In this deeply relaxed state, repeat your selected affirmations slowly and with feeling, or mentally review your visualization with calm conviction. Continue until you drift into sleep, allowing this programming to be the last input your mind receives. Upon awakening, before engaging with the day's activities, immediately return to your affirmation or visualization. These first moments of consciousness provide another optimal window for reprogramming. For intensified results, record your affirmations in your own voice and play them at low volume during sleep. Research confirms that the sleeping mind continues to process auditory input, making this a powerful supplementary technique. Overcoming resistance. When reprogramming meets opposition. As you implement these techniques, you may encounter resistance from your existing belief system. This resistance is normal and even indicates that your reprogramming efforts are having an impact. When resistance arises, apply these strategic responses. First, acknowledge resistance without fighting it. Opposition indicates that you're challenging established patterns, a necessary step in transformation. Rather than battling resistance, observe it with curiosity. Interesting that this part of me is resisting change. What is it trying to protect? Second, Dialogue with resistance through journaling. Ask your resistance what purpose it serves, what it fears would happen if it relaxed its grip. Write both the questions and the answers that arise. This dialogue often reveals the underlying fear, typically of change, failure, or even success, that sustains the limiting belief. Third, create intermediate beliefs that bridge the gap between your current programming and your desired belief. If you currently believe money is always scarce for me, and your affirmation is, I am abundantly wealthy, the gap may be too wide for immediate acceptance. Bridge with statements like, I am discovering new ways that money can flow to me, or I am learning to create greater abundance daily. Fourth, leverage evidence that supports your new belief while respectfully acknowledging contrary evidence. Though I've struggled financially in the past, I have successfully managed resources in other areas of my life, and I've seen others transform their financial situation through the same principles I'm now applying. Integration practice, combining methods for maximum impact. While each technique is powerful independently, their integrated application creates synergistic effects far exceeding the sum of their parts. Implement this comprehensive daily practice for optimal reprogramming. Morning protocol, 15 to 20 minutes. 5 minutes. Physical preparation through stretching, deep breathing, and progressive relaxation. 5 minutes. Affirmation repetition with emotional involvement, 5 to 10 minutes. Detailed visualization of desired outcomes with multisensory engagement. Optional, journal for 5 minutes on insights, gratitude, and commitment to your new beliefs. Throughout day, momentary interventions. Use pattern. Interruption whenever old beliefs surface. Cancel. This thought does not serve me. Immediately replace with condensed affirmation. Activate your emotional anchor, finger touch, or other trigger. Maintain physical posture and breathing patterns consistent with your desired belief. Evening protocol, 15 to 20 minutes. 5 minutes. Review your day, acknowledging moments when you aligned with new beliefs. 5 minutes. Repeat affirmations with deepened conviction based on day's experiences. 5 to 10 minutes. Enhanced visualization incorporating progressive refinement. Final affirmation repetition. As you drift to sleep, this integrated practice establishes a continuous cycle of reprogramming that systematically transforms your subconscious beliefs with mathematical certainty. As Atkinson promised, he who understands the law of mentalism and applies it in his daily life needs no other law. All the rest are but modifications or applications of this great law. Practical transformation. Exercise, the 30-day mental diet. To immediately implement what you've learned, begin this powerful 30-day practice. For 1 full month, commit to absolute mental discipline regarding one specific belief area. Select an area where limitation has persistently manifested. Finances, relationships, career advancement, health, or any domain where you've experienced restriction. Create one primary affirmation addressing the core belief in this area, along with a detailed visualization of your desired reality. Document both in your journal with absolute clarity. For 30 consecutive days, faithfully implement the integrated morning and evening protocols. Additionally, maintain vigilant awareness throughout each day, immediately countering any thought contrary to your new programming. Keep a daily log recording. Consistency with morning and evening protocols. Instances where you successfully interrupted and replaced contrary thoughts. Evidence, however subtle, of your new belief manifesting in physical reality. Insights, breakthroughs, or resistance encountered. This 30-day commitment creates sufficient momentum to override years of contrary programming. The precise neurological mechanisms are well established. New neural pathways form through consistent activation, while unused pathways weaken through neglect. Your mental discipline literally rewires your brain's physical structure. As we conclude this exploration of reprogramming techniques, remember this essential truth. Your subconscious beliefs were installed through specific processes, and they can be uninstalled through equally specific processes. The techniques in this chapter provide not vague possibilities, but precise technologies for transforming your mental operating system. In our next chapter, we will explore the vital role of willpower and concentration in directing mental energy, tools that will further accelerate your mastery of the reprogramming process. Chapter 6: Willpower and Concentration. Directing mental energy. Training the conscious mind to lead. Of all the mental faculties that determine your success or failure in life, none surpass the twin powers of willpower and concentration. These are the directing forces that harness your mental energy, focus your creative power, and transform mere wishes into tangible achievements. As Theron Q. Dumont, William Walker Atkinson, declared, "The great men and women of all ages have been those who possessed the power of concentration, who were able to focus their mind on one thing until they had accomplished it." This chapter reveals how you can develop these essential capabilities to their fullest expression, becoming the conscious director of your mental kingdom. Many misunderstand willpower as a form of rigid self-denial or forced effort against resistance. True willpower is not the desperate straining of a weak mind, but the calm, persistent direction of a strong one. It is the ability to maintain focus on your chosen objective regardless of distractions, to persevere when motivation wanes, and to consistently direct your mental energy toward your highest priorities. When fully developed, willpower becomes not an exhausting struggle, but a natural expression of your authentic desires. Similarly, concentration is not merely the ability to force your attention onto an unpleasant task. It is the art of gathering your scattered mental energies into a powerful, unified force, much as a magnifying glass concentrates sunlight into a beam capable of igniting fire. This gathered attention, when properly directed, becomes the catalyst that activates all other mental powers you've explored in previous chapters. The mental battery, understanding your energy system. Think of your mental energy as a battery with finite daily capacity. Each thought, each emotional reaction, each decision draws from this reservoir. Most people deplete their mental energy through scattered thinking, emotional reactivity, and constant decision-making about trivial matters. By day's end, they find themselves mentally exhausted, with little energy remaining for their most important objectives. The individual who masters willpower and concentration, however, conserves and directs this mental energy with strategic precision. They understand that attention is their most valuable resource, more precious than time itself, and they invest it accordingly. As Charles Harnell noted, the power of attention is the distinguishing characteristic of all successful men and women. They may not have been blessed by nature with any unusual advantage, but they have learned that it is attention that accomplishes things, and they have acquired the faculty of giving attention to details. Consider how this principle operates in daily life. Two individuals face identical workdays with equal responsibilities. One allows their attention to scatter, checking emails constantly, responding to every notification, fretting about past decisions, and worrying about future possibilities. The other batches similar tasks, works in focused intervals, postpones worry to designated times, and maintains clear priorities. By day's end, the first person feels depleted with little accomplished, while the second completes significant work with energy remaining for personal priorities. The difference is not intelligence or talent, but the strategic direction of mental energy through willpower and concentration. The three powers of conscious direction. Your conscious mind possesses three distinct powers that, when properly developed, enable masterful direction of your mental energy. First, the power of selective attention allows you to choose what you will focus upon from the infinite stimuli available. Your conscious mind acts as a filter, determining which of the millions of possible data points deserves your precious attention. Most never develop this faculty, allowing their attention to be captured by whatever shouts loudest, usually problems, distractions, and others' agendas. Through willpower, you develop the ability to direct your attention toward chosen objectives, regardless of competing stimuli. Second, the power of sustained focus enables you to maintain attention on a single point for extended periods. This is true concentration, the ability to hold a thought without wavering. The undisciplined mind jumps constantly between subjects, never applying sufficient mental energy to any single point to produce significant results. Through practice, You develop the ability to lock your attention onto chosen subjects with laser-like precision for increasing durations. Third, the power of inhibition allows you to prevent irrelevant or counterproductive thoughts from disrupting your mental work. Just as important as what you focus on is what you refuse to entertain. The developed will creates boundaries around your mental space, rejecting distractions, negativity, and irrelevant concerns. This mental gatekeeping preserves your energy for what truly matters. Together, these three powers, selective attention, sustained focus, and inhibition, constitute the foundation of mental mastery. As Dumont instructed, the rule is, take hold, let go, and both are equally necessary for concentration, and both require will. Willpower. Beyond misconception and myth. Despite its fundamental importance, willpower remains widely misunderstood. Many believe it to be a fixed trait, you either have it or you don't. Others see it as merely gritting your teeth and forcing yourself forward through sheer determination. Both perspectives miss the true nature of this faculty. Willpower is not a fixed characteristic, but a skill that can be systematically developed, just as you would strengthen a muscle through progressive training. And rather than forced effort, developed willpower feels more like clarity and alignment, the natural expression of your authentic values through consistent action. 4 key principles govern the development and expression of willpower. First, willpower operates as a finite daily resource that can be depleted through overuse, but also replenished and expanded through proper training. Research confirms that each decision requiring self-control draws from the same mental energy reservoir. This explains why after a day of difficult decisions and self-restraint, your willpower often feels exhausted. However, through systematic practice, you can expand this reservoir's capacity. Second, willpower strengthens through progressive challenge, not unlike physical muscles. Beginning with small but consistent exercises that gradually increase in difficulty builds willpower more effectively than sporadic heroic efforts. The person who commits to 5 minutes of daily meditation, gradually increasing to 30 minutes over months, develops greater willpower than one who attempts hour-long sessions sporadically. Third, willpower functions optimally when aligned with your deepest values and desires, rather than externally imposed shoulds. When your conscious objectives truly matter to you, willpower operates with the wind at its back. This explains why you might easily maintain focus for hours on activities you love while struggling to concentrate for minutes on imposed tasks. Fourth, willpower depletes more slowly when supported by complementary habits, routines, and environments. The individual who relies solely on willpower to resist temptation will inevitably exhaust this resource. The wiser approach is creating supportive conditions that reduce the need for constant willpower expenditure. Consider Thomas, an author who struggled for years to complete his first novel, despite genuine passion for the project. His mistake was relying exclusively on willpower to motivate consistent writing. By restructuring his approach, establishing a morning writing routine before willpower depletion, creating a distraction-free environment, and breaking the project into manageable daily goals, he completed his manuscript within 6 months. The same willpower previously insufficient became more than adequate when strategically deployed. Concentration. The focused mental beam. Concentration represents the natural outcome of developed willpower properly applied. It is the ability to direct your full mental power to a single point, excluding all else from consciousness. When concentration reaches its highest development, you enter a state that modern psychology calls flow, complete absorption in the task at hand, where time seems to alter and extraordinary performance becomes effortless. The capacity for concentration determines the depth and quality of all your mental work. The individual who can maintain unwavering focus accomplishes more in 30 minutes than the scattered thinker achieves in hours. As Dumont emphasized, the good concentrator accomplishes more mental work in 5 minutes than the poor concentrator does in 5 hours. 4 progressive stages mark the development of true concentration. The first stage is physical control, the ability to maintain bodily stillness without fidgeting, shifting, or nervous movement. The body and mind are interconnected. Physical restlessness both reflects and reinforces mental restlessness. Begin concentration training by practicing the simple discipline of sitting completely still for increasing periods. The second stage is mental clearing, the ability to temporarily set aside current concerns, worries, and preoccupations, creating a clean mental workspace. This doesn't mean permanently resolving all problems, but rather consciously setting them aside during your period of concentration. The third stage is one-pointed attention, the ability to select a single subject and lock your mental focus upon it, bringing it into crystalline clarity while peripheral concerns fade into the background. At this stage, you become aware of distracting thoughts but maintain your primary focus despite them. The fourth stage is absorbed concentration, the complete immersion in your chosen subject, where all sense of separation between observer and observed temporarily dissolves. In this state, your mental energy flows without obstruction, insights arise spontaneously, and understanding deepens beyond ordinary limits. Few individuals in modern society develop concentration beyond the rudimentary levels. Surrounded by designed distractions and habituated to constant mental stimulation, most never experience the extraordinary power of a mind gathered into unified focus. Yet this capacity remains dormant within you, awaiting development through consistent practice. Practical development, exercises for willpower and concentration. The following progressive exercises, when practiced consistently, systematically develop your willpower and concentration. Begin with those that seem manageable, gradually increasing challenge as your mental strength grows. Exercise. 1. Physical stillness. Training. For 5 minutes daily, sit completely motionless in a comfortable position. Allow no intentional movement whatsoever, not a finger twitch, not a shift in position, not even a deliberate blink. Observe the impulses to move arise and subside without acting upon them. Gradually extend the duration to 15 minutes over several weeks. This simple practice develops both physical control and the willpower to resist automatic impulses. Exercise 2. The fixed gaze. Select a small object, a dot drawn on paper, a button, or any simple item. Place it at eye level and focus your gaze upon it without wavering for 3 minutes. Blink naturally, but keep your eyes returning to precisely the same point. When your mind wanders, as it inevitably will at first, gently but firmly bring it back to the object. Extend the duration gradually to 10 minutes. This exercise develops visual concentration, which transfers to mental focus. Exercise 3. Single thought concentration. Select a simple concept or object, a circle, an apple, or a single word like peace. For 5 minutes, keep your mind focused exclusively on this single item, exploring its qualities, associations, and meaning. When other thoughts intrude, immediately return to your chosen subject. The key is not perfect performance, which comes only with great practice, but the persistent return to your focus point whenever you notice wandering. This exercise develops mental flexibility and control. Exercise 4. Reading retention. Select a paragraph of substantive material. Read it once, then close the book and write down everything you can recall. Compare your recollection with the original, noting what you captured accurately and what you missed. Repeat with new material daily, gradually increasing from paragraphs to pages. This exercise develops both concentration during input and memory consolidation. Exercise 5. Reverse counting. Beginning with 100, count backward to 1 in your mind. If any distraction breaks your sequence, return to 100 and begin again. The goal is to complete the entire sequence without a single distraction breaking your concentration. This seemingly simple exercise proves remarkably challenging and builds substantial mental control. Exercise 6. The concentration hour. Designate 1 hour daily as your concentration hour. During this period, perform whatever activity you choose, reading, writing, planning, problem solving, but do it with absolutely undivided attention. No multitasking, no checking devices, no daydreaming. When your mind wanders, immediately bring it back to your chosen focus. This practice integrates concentration development into productive activity, the integration of will and concentration in daily life. Beyond formal exercises, true mastery comes through integrating willpower and concentration into your daily activities. This integration transforms ordinary experiences into opportunities for mental development. When conversing, practice giving your complete attention to the speaker without mentally rehearsing your response or allowing your mind to wander. This concentrated listening develops attention control while simultaneously improving your relationships. When performing routine tasks, washing dishes, walking, or waiting in line, transform them into concentration practices by giving them your full, undivided attention. Notice sensory details you normally miss. This mindful presence develops concentration while simultaneously reducing stress. When working on important projects, implement the focused interval approach. Set a timer for 25-30 minutes during which you work with absolute concentration, followed by a brief 5-minute break. This structured approach, similar to the Pomodoro technique, builds concentration stamina while accommodating the brain's natural rhythm of focus and recovery. When faced with digital distractions, practice the conscious consumption discipline. Before checking any device, email, or social media, pause and ask, "Is this the best use of my mental energy right now?" This simple pause builds the willpower to resist automatic digital engagement. Directing mental energy, the ultimate application. As your willpower and concentration develop through consistent practice, you gain increasing ability to direct your mental energy with precision. This direction manifests in 3 primary applications. First, controlled manifestation focuses your mental energy on specific desired outcomes. Using the visualization and affirmation techniques explored in previous chapters, you can now apply concentrated will to hold these images with unwavering clarity. This sustained, one-pointed focus drastically accelerates the manifestation process. As Dumont noted, one of the principal requisites for concentrated mental endeavor and efficient mind mastery is the ability to focus the attention conscientiously upon the matter before one, and to resolutely shut out from consciousness every idea, thought, feeling, emotion, or sensory report calculated to distract the attention. Second, mental discipline enables you to consistently override automatic thoughts, emotional reactions, and habitual patterns that contradict your conscious intentions. When limiting beliefs arise, your developed willpower provides the strength to reject them rather than unconsciously accepting their premises. This capacity to consciously select your mental content is the foundation of all personal transformation. Third, sustained implementation allows you to maintain consistent action toward your objectives, regardless of fluctuating motivation or external circumstances. The individual with developed willpower continues taking productive action when others succumb to procrastination, distraction, or discouragement. This consistency, more than occasional heroic effort, ultimately determines achievement. Consider how these applications transformed Eleanor's experience. As a talented but previously underperforming entrepreneur, she implemented systematic willpower and concentration development. Within 6 months, her ability to maintain focus on priority projects, rather than being perpetually distracted by minor issues, resulted in completing a product launch she had postponed for 2 years. Her enhanced mental discipline allowed her to recognize and override the self-doubt that had previously sabotaged her efforts. Most importantly, her capacity for sustained implementation enabled consistent progress despite the variable challenges of entrepreneurship. Eleanor's transformation reflected Atkinson's promise. The man who can direct his mental powers and forces is the man who will win in the end, no matter what the odds against him. The willpower-intuition connection. As we prepare to explore intuition in our next chapter, understand that willpower and concentration create the conditions for intuitive faculties to emerge. When the conscious mind maintains such perfect focus that it becomes still, like the surface of a lake undisturbed by ripples, the deeper wisdom of the subconscious can rise into awareness. This seemingly paradoxical relationship deserves emphasis. The same will that can direct with forceful purpose must also know when to become receptively still. The concentrated mind becomes a clear channel through which intuitive insights can flow unobstructed. This balance between directed will and receptive awareness represents mental mastery at its highest development. Your path forward. Commitment to mastery. As we conclude this chapter, recognize that willpower and concentration are not merely helpful skills, but essential capacities for anyone seeking to direct their mental energy with mastery. Through these twin faculties, all other mental powers become precisely applicable rather than merely theoretical. Begin today with even 5 minutes of dedicated practice using any exercise that resonates with you. Remember that consistency matters more than duration. Brief daily practice will develop your mental faculties more effectively than occasional extended sessions. Record your experiences, noting improvements in your ability to direct attention and maintain focus. Above all, approach this development with patience and self-compassion. The capacity for sustained concentration has atrophied in modern society, and rebuilding it requires persistent effort. Each moment of practice, regardless of perceived success or failure, strengthens the neural pathways that support these essential faculties. As Dumont promised those who develop these capacities, life takes on a new meaning, new possibilities, when one has acquired the art of directing his energies to definite, purposeful ends. Chapter 7. Intuition, the whisper of the subconscious, learning to listen to inner guidance. In our journey through the architecture of mental power, we now arrive at perhaps the most mysterious, yet profoundly valuable faculty: intuition. This remarkable capacity, the direct knowing that arrives without conscious reasoning, represents the harmonious communication between your conscious and subconscious mind. While logic and reason are valuable tools, they process only the information you consciously recognize. Intuition, however, accesses the vast storehouse of your subconscious, which registers millions of subtle impressions your conscious mind overlooks and connects patterns your analytical thinking cannot perceive. As William Walker Atkinson observed, intuition is the faculty of the mind by which we have a knowing without conscious reasoning. It is a phase of that wonderful field of mental activities known as the subconscious. This direct channel of knowing, when properly developed and trusted, becomes your most reliable guidance system for navigating life's complex decisions, recognizing hidden opportunities, and avoiding unseen dangers. Yet most individuals have been conditioned to ignore or discount these intuitive signals, relying exclusively on logical analysis, even when their deeper wisdom sends contrary messages. Have you ever experienced that quiet voice within urging you toward or away from a particular choice, only to dismiss it as irrational, later wishing you had heeded its guidance? Have you felt an inexplicable certainty about a situation despite having no logical basis for your conclusion, and later discovered your inexplicable certainty was entirely correct? These experiences reveal intuition at work, your subconscious mind communicating its integrated understanding in ways that transcend ordinary reasoning. The nature of intuition. Beyond logic and reason, intuition is not opposed to logical reasoning, but operates on an entirely different principle. While conscious reasoning processes information sequentially, examining premises, drawing conclusions, and working through problems step by step, intuition grasps wholeness immediately. It perceives patterns, relationships, and possibilities that sequential thinking often misses. This intuitive faculty manifests through several distinct channels. The gut feeling presents as a physical sensation, a contraction or expansion in your solar plexus that signals no or yes before your mind has rationally analyzed a situation. This visceral knowing taps into what neuroscience now recognizes as the enteric nervous system, the complex neural network in your digestive tract, often called the second brain. The flash of insight arrives as a sudden knowing, a solution or understanding that appears fully formed in your consciousness. Scientists who made revolutionary discoveries often report that the crucial insight came not during logical analysis, but while relaxing, daydreaming, or focusing elsewhere. Einstein's theory of relativity, Newton's laws of motion, and countless other breakthroughs emerged through this intuitive channel. The persistent thought manifests as an idea that continues returning to your awareness despite attempts to dismiss it. Unlike random thoughts that float through consciousness, these recurring impressions often contain intuitive guidance your conscious mind is attempting to ignore. The symbolic dream or vision delivers intuitive understanding through metaphor and imagery. Your subconscious mind, which naturally thinks in symbols rather than words, often communicates through vivid images that require interpretation. Many inventors, artists, and scientists report receiving crucial inspirations through dreams or waking visions. The inner voice presents as a subtle yet clear directive, not an audible sound, but an internal knowing that arrives in words. This still, small voice offers guidance that often contradicts conventional wisdom or your habitual patterns of thought. All these intuitive channels serve the same function, transmitting subconscious wisdom to your conscious awareness. When properly recognized and interpreted, they provide guidance far surpassing what logical analysis alone could produce. The subconscious origin of intuitive knowledge. To fully appreciate intuition's value, understand its origins in your subconscious mind. Your subconscious continuously receives and processes information beyond your conscious awareness, including subtle physical cues too minute for conscious recognition. Your senses register millions of details, microscopic facial expressions, barely perceptible shifts in tone, subtle environmental changes that escape conscious notice but register subconsciously. Your intuition may warn you about a deceptive business partner not because of mystical insight, but because your subconscious detected inconsistencies in their communication your conscious mind overlooked. Pattern recognition across vast data sets. Your subconscious mind excels at recognizing patterns within complexity. A physician's intuitive diagnosis often represents their subconscious, recognizing a constellation of symptoms their conscious mind hasn't yet assembled into a coherent picture. Forgotten experiences stored in memory, but no longer consciously accessible. Your subconscious retains virtually everything you've ever experienced, including knowledge you don't realize you possess. The inexplicable sense that a particular investment is unwise may draw from financial information you read years ago and consciously forgot, but your subconscious retained. Connection to collective wisdom through what Carl Jung called the collective unconscious and Charles Harnell termed the universal mind. This deeper aspect of intuition suggests that your subconscious connects to information beyond your personal experience, a controversial but persistent theme across philosophical and spiritual traditions. As Joseph Murphy noted, the subconscious mind is the seat of intuition and inspiration. It sees the solution of various problems instantly, for there is no time or space restriction in the subconscious mind. This explains why intuitive insights often arrive instantly, as complete packages of understanding rather than sequential thoughts. The modern suppression of intuitive faculty. Despite intuition's extraordinary value, modern society systematically discourages its development and expression. Several factors contribute to this suppression. The educational emphasis on rational analysis trains students to trust only what can be logically proven or externally verified. Intuitive understanding receives little recognition or development in conventional education. The cultural bias toward external authority encourages reliance on experts, credentials, and conventional wisdom rather than internal guidance. Individuals who follow intuitive promptings that contradict established norms often face criticism or ridicule. The constant external stimulation of contemporary life, perpetual noise, information overload, and digital distraction creates conditions antithetical to intuitive reception. Intuition speaks in whispers that cannot be heard amid constant clamor. The accelerated pace of modern decision-making leaves little space for the quiet reflection intuition requires. When forced to choose quickly, most default to rational analysis, rather than waiting for intuitive clarity to emerge. The cumulative effect of these factors is a population increasingly disconnected from their intuitive faculties. Individuals who possess extraordinary internal guidance systems they neither trust nor know how to access. The result is a paradoxical increase in poor decision-making, despite unprecedented access to information. Data without intuitive integration often leads to analysis, paralysis, or technically correct, but fundamentally unwise choices. Distinguishing true intuition from imposters. One challenge in developing intuition is distinguishing authentic intuitive guidance from its common imitators, fear, wishful thinking, and projection. How can you recognize when the internal message truly represents subconscious wisdom rather than emotional reaction? Genuine intuition possesses several distinguishing characteristics. First, true intuition typically arrives with quiet certainty rather than emotional intensity. While fear generates agitation, anxiety, and urgency, authentic intuition presents as calm knowing, a clear signal unclouded by emotional charge. As Atkinson observed, intuition is not an emotion. It is a form of knowing. Second, intuitive guidance often contradicts your preferences or desires rather than conveniently aligning with them. Wishful thinking invariably leads toward what you consciously want, while genuine intuition may direct you away from an appealing opportunity or toward an initially unappealing path that ultimately serves your highest good. Third, authentic intuitive signals persist or strengthen with quiet attention, while projections and fears typically diminish when examined closely. When you create space to listen deeply, false signals tend to evaporate, while true intuition gains clarity and conviction. Fourth, genuine intuition often arrives unexpectedly, rather than emerging from concentrated effort to figure something out. The intuitive flash frequently occurs when you've temporarily stepped away from a problem, allowing your subconscious to integrate information without conscious interference. The individual who learns to recognize these distinctive qualities develops increasing confidence in distinguishing true intuitive guidance from its counterfeits. Developing intuitive receptivity. Creating the optimal conditions. Intuition can be systematically developed through practices that create optimal conditions for subconscious communication. These practices share common elements: quieting the analytical mind, reducing external stimulation, and establishing receptive attention. Begin with these foundational practices. Mental silence meditation creates the essential condition for intuitive reception by temporarily suspending the constant chatter of your analytical mind. For at least 10 minutes daily, sit quietly and focus on your breath or a simple mantra, allowing thoughts to arise and pass without engagement. This practice gradually creates space between thoughts, gaps through which intuitive impressions can emerge. Nature immersion removes you from artificial environments and digital stimulation, allowing your nervous system to reset to its natural receptive state. Regular walks in natural settings, preferably alone and without technological devices, create ideal conditions for intuitive insights to surface. Many report that their clearest intuitive guidance arrives during these simple nature excursions. Journal dialogue establishes direct communication with your subconscious wisdom through written conversation. Ask specific questions in writing, then immediately record whatever response arises without editing or analyzing. This bypasses the critical faculty that often blocks intuitive communication. With practice, the quality and clarity of responses typically improves dramatically. Dream attention accesses intuitive guidance through your dreams, a state where subconscious communication naturally occurs. Before sleeping, clearly state your desire for guidance on a specific question. Keep a notebook beside your bed to record dreams immediately upon waking, before the analytical mind dismisses or reinterprets them. Look for symbolic rather than literal answers to your questions. Body awareness develops your ability to recognize intuitive signals that manifest physically rather than mentally. Several times daily, pause for a body scan, moving your attention systematically from feet to head, noting sensations without judgment. This practice heightens sensitivity to the subtle physical signals through which intuition often communicates. As you implement these practices, approach them with patience and consistency. Intuitive development resembles learning a new language. Initial communications may seem halting or unclear, but fluency develops through persistent attention and practice. Practical applications. Intuition in daily decision-making. The development of intuition transcends theoretical interest. It provides practical advantage across all domains of life. Consider these applications. In professional decisions, intuition often perceives opportunities and pitfalls invisible to conventional analysis. The executive who heeds that inexplicable hesitation about a seemingly perfect deal may later discover hidden problems that would have proved disastrous. Conversely, the entrepreneur who follows an intuitive attraction to an unproven market sometimes pioneers breakthrough innovations logical analysis would have rejected. In relationship choices, intuitive guidance perceives compatibility and character at levels beyond conscious recognition. The subtle sense of expansion or contraction you feel in someone's presence often reflects your subconscious integration of countless micro-observations about their integrity, emotional health, and alignment with your values. In creative endeavors, intuition provides inspiration and direction that transcend technical knowledge alone. The artist who follows intuitive promptings rather than merely executing according to formula often produces work of transcendent quality. The writer who trusts the unexpected story direction that feels right despite contradicting their outline may discover their work's true heart. In health decisions, intuitive signals often detect imbalances before they manifest as diagnosable conditions. The inexplicable urge to eliminate certain foods, adopt specific practices, or consult particular practitioners may represent your body's wisdom communicating through intuitive channels. In spiritual development, intuition serves as the primary compass for authentic growth. External teachings and practices provide valuable structure, but intuitive guidance navigates the unique path suited to your specific nature and purpose. This internal wisdom prevents the common error of following spiritual systems that may be valid generally, but inappropriate for your particular journey. Across all these domains, intuition functions not as a replacement for logical analysis and practical knowledge, but as their essential complement. The integration of intuitive wisdom with rational understanding creates decision-making capacity far exceeding either faculty used in isolation. The intuitive decision protocol, a systematic approach to immediately apply intuitive guidance to important decisions. Implement this systematic protocol. Begin by clearly defining the specific decision or question requiring guidance. Vague inquiries produce correspondingly unclear intuitive responses. Create mental and emotional space through a brief meditation, clearing your mind of preconceptions and attachments to particular outcomes. This receptive neutrality is essential for accurate intuitive reception. Present your question to your subconscious, not as a demand, but as a request for guidance. The tone of respectful inquiry, rather than forceful command, creates optimal conditions for response. Notice your immediate, unedited reaction, the first impression that arises before your analytical mind engages. This initial response often contains genuine intuitive guidance before rational analysis can obscure it. Pay particular attention to physical sensations that accompany thoughts about different options. Does a particular choice create expansion or contraction in your body? These physical responses often communicate intuitive knowing more reliably than mental impressions alone. Allow space for the answer to emerge, rather than forcing immediate clarity. Some intuitive guidance requires an incubation period, during which your subconscious continues processing. The answer may arrive hours or days later during an unrelated activity. When intuitive guidance contradicts logical analysis, neither dismiss the intuition nor ignore the analysis. Instead, seek additional information that might explain the contradiction. Often, your intuition perceives factors your analysis has overlooked, and identifying these factors resolves the apparent contradiction. Record your intuitive impressions and subsequent outcomes to develop pattern recognition. Over time, you'll identify your particular intuitive signals and how they manifest in different situations, integrating intuition with conscious direction. The highest expression of mental mastery comes not through developing individual faculties in isolation, but by integrating them into a harmonious whole. Intuition works most powerfully when properly coordinated with the conscious direction we explored in previous chapters. This integration occurs through what we might call intuitive willpower. the capacity to consciously direct attention while remaining receptively aware of intuitive guidance. Rather than forcing outcomes through rigid will or passively waiting for intuitive direction, this integrated approach maintains clear intention while remaining flexible about how that intention manifests. Consider Maria, a business strategist, who developed this integration through consistent practice. When approaching important decisions, she established clear objectives through conscious focus, then created receptive space through meditation. The intuitive impressions that emerged often suggested unexpected approaches to her objectives, approaches her analytical planning would never have considered, but that proved remarkably effective. Her willingness to maintain direction while adapting methods based on intuitive guidance gave her a decisive advantage over competitors who relied exclusively on conventional analysis. This harmonious relationship between conscious direction and intuitive receptivity represents mental mastery at its most advanced level, what Atkinson described as the well-balanced mind. And it allows you to navigate life with both purposeful intention and responsive awareness, combining the strengths of both your conscious and subconscious faculties. A daily practice for intuitive integration. To develop this integration between intuition and conscious direction, implement this daily practice. Each morning, clearly establish your primary intentions for the day through conscious focus. Write these intentions in your journal with specific clarity about what you seek to accomplish or experience. Create 5 minutes of receptive silence through meditation, asking your subconscious for guidance about the optimal approach to these intentions. Note any impressions, images, or insights that emerge. Throughout the day, maintain awareness of unexpected intuitive signals related to your intentions, sudden ideas, fortuitous meetings, or inexplicable impulses to take specific actions. Follow these promptings even when they seem unrelated to your conscious strategy. Periodically create brief pauses, even 30 seconds is beneficial, to check your inner guidance about current activities. Is your energy aligned with your true priorities? Does your intuition suggest adjustments to your approach? Each evening, review both your conscious intentions and the intuitive guidance you received. Note instances where following intuitive promptings led to beneficial outcomes or unexpected progress toward your objectives. This daily practice gradually establishes a working partnership between your conscious direction and subconscious wisdom, a partnership that becomes increasingly seamless with consistent application. The listening life, beyond techniques to intuitive living. While specific techniques and practices accelerate intuitive development, the ultimate goal is integration of intuitive awareness into every aspect of life. This might be called the listening life, an ongoing receptivity to inner guidance that transcends formal practice sessions. The individual who achieves this integration recognizes intuitive signals amidst ordinary activities without requiring special conditions. They notice the subtle contraction warning against a particular agreement while in a business meeting. They perceive the quiet insight about a relationship challenge while washing dishes. They recognize the creative solution that presents itself during their morning commute. This continuous intuitive awareness represents what Atkinson called the intuitive life, a state where the artificial barrier between conscious and subconscious processing dissolves into unified perception. The mind functions as it was designed to function, with all faculties working in harmonious coordination rather than fragmented isolation. As you continue developing your intuitive faculty, remember that its ultimate expression is not dramatic psychic phenomena, but this integrated awareness that infuses every aspect of life with deeper wisdom. The dramatic intuitive experience, the prophetic dream or stunning flash of insight, may occasionally occur, but the true measure of intuitive development is your moment-to-moment access to subconscious wisdom in daily life, the promise of intuitive mastery. As we conclude our exploration of intuition, recognize the extraordinary advantage this faculty offers when fully developed. In a world increasingly dominated by information overload, analytical complexity, and rapid change, intuitive guidance provides a navigational system that integrates far more variables than conscious analysis ever could. The individual who learns to access and trust this guidance makes decisions with a broader perspective. perceives opportunities others miss, and navigates challenges with greater wisdom. They experience life not as a series of problems to be solved through strenuous effort, but as a journey guided by an inner wisdom that continually reveals the optimal path forward. This intuitive guidance represents the subconscious mind fulfilling its proper role, not as an adversary to be overcome, but as the powerful ally it was designed to be. When conscious intention and subconscious wisdom work in harmony, you experience what Murphy called the miracle working power of your subconscious, the extraordinary capacity to navigate life with both purposeful direction and effortless flow. In our final chapter, we will integrate everything you've learned into a comprehensive system for mental mastery, a practical framework that coordinates all your mental faculties toward the achievement of your highest aspirations. Conclusion: the integrated mind, your path to conscious creation. Throughout our journey together, we have systematically explored the extraordinary architecture of your mind, not as an abstract philosophical exercise, but as a practical investigation into the most powerful creative force in your personal universe. From understanding the fundamental partnership between conscious and subconscious faculties, to mastering the techniques for belief transformation, from harnessing the creative power of thought to developing willpower, concentration, and intuitive wisdom, each chapter has revealed another aspect of your inherent mental sovereignty. The fundamental truth that emerges from this exploration is both simple and profound. You are the master architect of your experience. The conditions, circumstances, and relationships that constitute your life are not random occurrences happening to you, but precise reflections of your dominant mental patterns. As James Allen so powerfully stated, mind is the master power that molds and makes, and man is mind, and evermore he takes the tool of thought, and shaping what he wills, brings forth 1,000 joys, 1,000 ills. He thinks in secret, and it comes to pass. Environment is but his looking glass. Decay. This realization represents both tremendous responsibility and extraordinary liberation. The responsibility lies in recognizing that no person or circumstance can be legitimately blamed for your current conditions. They are the mathematical product of your past thinking. The liberation comes in understanding that since your thoughts have created your present circumstances, changing your thoughts with purpose and precision will inevitably transform your future experience. The principles in review. Your mental technology. As you prepare to implement this knowledge systematically, let us review the essential principles that govern mental mastery. Your mind operates as a dynamic partnership between conscious and subconscious faculties. The conscious mind directs through attention, intention, and will, while the subconscious executes through automatic processes, beliefs, and manifestation. When these faculties work in harmony, your manifestation power multiplies exponentially. Your beliefs form the foundational architecture upon which your entire life is built. These beliefs, primarily stored in your subconscious, act as filters, determining what you perceive as possible and what actions you take. Every belief was installed through specific processes and can be systematically transformed through equally specific processes. Your thoughts generate tangible energy that shapes your physical experience. Each thought, particularly when focused through concentration and charged with emotion, creates a vibrational pattern that attracts corresponding circumstances. This is not metaphysical speculation, but the practical operation of mental law. The undisciplined mind sabotages its own desires through scattered thinking, contrary mental states, negative expectations, and impulsive reactivity. Recognizing these patterns of self-sabotage is the essential first step toward establishing mental sovereignty. Systematic mental reprogramming transforms limiting beliefs into empowering alternatives through specific techniques: affirmation, visualization, emotional charging, and sleep programming. When applied with understanding and consistency, these techniques literally rewire your neural architecture. Willpower and concentration direct your mental energy with precision and purpose. These twin faculties, developed through progressive practice, transform diffuse mental energy into a focused beam capable of manifesting your conscious intentions with remarkable effectiveness. Intuition provides direct access to your subconscious wisdom, a guidance system that integrates millions of data points beyond conscious recognition. Developing this faculty through receptive practices creates an invaluable navigator for life's complex decisions. These principles, properly understood and systematically applied, constitute a comprehensive system for conscious reality creation, what we might call the science of mental mastery. This science operates with mathematical precision, producing predictable results when its laws are correctly applied. Integration, the key to transformation. While understanding these principles intellectually represents a crucial beginning, true transformation requires their integration into daily practice. Many who study the science of mind experience temporary inspiration, but fail to implement its teachings with sufficient consistency to produce lasting change. The difference between intellectual appreciation and transformative application lies in systematic implementation. Consider David, who spent years reading books on mental science without experiencing significant change. His approach was fundamentally flawed. He consumed concept after concept without establishing any single principle in practice. After learning this integrated system, he took a radically different approach, selecting one principle, the power of concentrated thought, and implementing it daily for 3 consecutive months. Only after establishing this principle in daily practice did he proceed to the next. Within 18 months of this systematic approach, his life had transformed across every dimension: financial, relational, physical, and spiritual. His experience illustrates a crucial truth. Depth of practice surpasses breadth of knowledge in transformative power. One principle fully implemented creates more change than 100 principles intellectually appreciated, but never applied. Your path forward, the 90-day transformation. To translate this understanding into tangible transformation, I invite you to commit to this 90-day implementation program. Days 130. Establish mental sovereignty. During this phase, focus exclusively on becoming aware of your current mental patterns and establishing basic control. Implement the mental interrupt technique whenever you notice negative or limiting thoughts, replacing them with empowering alternatives. Practice one concentration exercise for at least 5 minutes daily, gradually increasing the duration. Each evening, review your day in your journal, noting instances of both mental sabotage and successful direction. Days 31 to 60. Systematic reprogramming. Having established basic mental awareness and control, focus this phase on transforming one specific limiting belief that has significantly restricted your expression. Create clear affirmations and visualizations addressing this belief, practicing them morning and evening with emotional involvement. Implement the sleep programming method nightly. Record in your journal any evidence of this belief shifting, however subtle. Days 61, 90. Directed manifestation. In this final phase, focus on consciously manifesting one specific desire or objective. Apply the integrated techniques of concentration, visualization, affirmation, and intuitive guidance toward this single target. Maintain daily journal entries documenting synchronicities, opportunities, and manifestations related to your objective. Practice daily intuitive listening related to your manifestation process, following the guidance that emerges. This progressive implementation ensures that you establish each level of mastery before proceeding to the next. Rather than attempting simultaneous application of all principles, which typically results in scattered effort and minimal results, this sequential approach builds a solid foundation for lasting transformation. The ongoing journey, beyond technique to embodiment. As you progress through deliberate practice, you will gradually move beyond the need for formal techniques into natural embodiment of these principles. The conscious application of specific methods eventually gives way to an intuitive expression of mental mastery that permeates every aspect of life. In this advanced state, you no longer need to formally practice concentration. Your mind naturally focuses with clarity on whatever you choose to address. You don't need structured affirmation sessions because your thoughts automatically align with empowering perspectives. You don't need designated intuitive listening periods because you continuously receive and recognize inner guidance throughout your day. This natural integration, mental mastery as a state of being rather than a collection of practices, represents the ultimate goal of our work together. The techniques are valuable scaffolding that eventually gives way to the completed edifice of an integrated mind functioning as it was designed to function. The greater purpose. Beyond personal achievement. While the principles in this book naturally produce enhanced achievement and material advancement, their deeper purpose transcends personal gain. The ultimate value of mental mastery lies not merely in what you can acquire or achieve, but in who you become through its practice. As your mental faculties develop through consistent application, you experience a profound transformation of identity. You no longer perceive yourself as a helpless product of circumstances, but as a conscious creator. You no longer react to life's challenges with victimhood, but respond with creative adaptation. You no longer depend on external conditions for your sense of security, but recognize your inherent power to generate whatever experiences you choose to manifest. This shift in self-perception, from passive recipient to active creator, represents perhaps the most significant transformation possible in human experience. It is the difference between living at the effect of circumstances and living as the cause of circumstances. It is the distinction between a life of reaction and a life of creation. Furthermore, as you develop mental mastery, you naturally extend its benefits beyond yourself. The individual who has established sovereignty over their own consciousness becomes a stabilizing presence for others. Their clarity provides perspective during confusion. Their centered awareness offers calm during chaos. Their demonstrated mastery inspires others to recognize and develop their own inherent capabilities. In this way, personal mental mastery becomes a profound contribution to collective elevation. By establishing order, direction, and harmony in your own consciousness, you become a living demonstration of what is possible for all. Your decision point. The power of beginning. As we conclude our journey together, you stand at a crucial decision point. The principles and practices you've explored possess the power to fundamentally transform every aspect of your life, but only if you implement them with consistency and commitment. Knowledge without application remains merely potential rather than actual power. Will you be among the few who translate understanding into action? Will you commit to the systematic development of your mental faculties with the same dedication you would give to developing any valuable skill? Will you persist through the initial challenges of establishing new mental patterns, recognizing that temporary discomfort precedes permanent transformation? Remember that every master of any field began as a novice. The concert pianist once played simple scales. The accomplished athlete once struggled with basic movements. The mental master once battled with scattered thoughts and undisciplined attention. What separates mastery from mediocrity is not innate talent, but persistent practice with purpose. Begin today, not with grandiose ambitions that fade by tomorrow, but with modest practices maintained with unwavering consistency. 5 minutes of concentrated attention daily, maintained without fail, will accomplish more than occasional heroic efforts. One limiting belief transformed completely will impact your life more profoundly than 100 beliefs partially addressed. The power to reshape your entire experience exists within you at this moment, not as distant potential, but as present capacity awaiting direction. As William Walker Atkinson declared, "The law is in operation, whether you use it consciously or not. It is working with you or against you according to the use you are making of your own thought forces. The choice is yours, as it has always been." You can continue allowing your extraordinary mental faculties to operate by default, producing results that may satisfy or disappoint according to chance. Or you can assume conscious direction of these same faculties, systematically producing the experiences you choose to create. I invite you to choose mastery, not merely for what it will bring you, but for who it will reveal you to be. For in developing sovereignty over your mind, you discover your authentic nature as a conscious creator, fulfilling the highest purpose for which your remarkable faculties were designed. The matrix of reality awaits your conscious command. The time for mastery is now. Now that you've glimpsed the extraordinary architecture of your mind, I have a question for you. What specific belief might your subconscious be holding that's silently sabotaging your greatest aspirations right now? Perhaps it's a deep conviction about what you deserve, what's possible for someone like you, or whether success requires struggle. This hidden programming could be the very thing standing between you and everything you desire. Share your insights in the comments below. Awareness is always the first step toward transformation. If you're ready to begin reclaiming your mental sovereignty today, start with this simple but powerful practice. For the next 7 days, carry a small notebook and record every automatic negative thought that arises, especially when facing challenges or opportunities. Don't judge these thoughts. Simply observe them with curiosity. This single practice will reveal the specific programming that's been operating beneath your awareness, allowing you to consciously choose which thoughts you'll continue to entertain and which you'll release. If this exploration of mental power has resonated with you, make sure you're subscribed to Vibration Architect so you never miss these essential teachings. Hit the like button if you've gained valuable insights, and remember to share your own experiences with subconscious programming in the comments. Your perspective might be exactly what another viewer needs to hear. Join us on Thursday when we'll dive deep into manifesting abundance, where you'll discover how to align your conscious and subconscious mind to attract unlimited prosperity into your life. Your journey to complete mental mastery has only just begun.